Okay, so we will continue with our discussion on human resource, and we will now move to industrial relations. And when we talk about industrial relations, there are two organizations which will definitely come to mind. One is employer association. Now, what is an employer association? Employer association is an organization of employers where employers come together and they share information with one another and they learn from one another. The other is trade union. What is trade union? Trade union is an organization of workers. And what is the purpose of this organization? The purpose of this organization is, what does it do? It works for the benefit of its workers, of its members. And these members are workers. Uh, so, uh, what is the benefit of the worker? What is the worker looking for? Well, broadly speaking, the benefits that a worker is looking for fall into two categories only. Of course, there are divisions within it, but two main categories are: number one, you want wages, and you want wages at the right rate. You want high wages. So unions work to try to increase the wages of their members who are workers of organizations. Secondly, they also are interested in maintaining good working conditions, health and safety of the workers, for example. Okay. Now, an individual worker does not know a lot of things. Okay. He does not know a lot of things about the law and stuff like that and his rights as a worker. So sometimes trade unions also educate them about what they are entitled to under the law. And the problem with the worker is that if he goes and asks for his rights alone, okay, then he will not be taken very seriously by the he will not be taken very seriously by the by the employer. So what happens is that unions are based on the logic of collective bargaining. Not one person, but the entire union will negotiate. They will um, bargain for improvement in the working conditions and improvement in wages for the worker. So this is the idea. That's the strength of numbers. That is the idea. Okay. Usually unions will try to reach an agreement which is mutually acceptable, which means acceptable to both. Okay. And they keep an eye on things like inflation. That's why they are asking for higher wages. Okay. They ask for higher wages because inflation goes up from time to time. They ask for higher wages because the prices may be higher in other similar organizations. Another thing is, when the productivity of the worker goes up, it means that one worker is now producing more goods. So when the productivity goes up, then they say that we are making more goods, and the employer, you're making more money with our hard work. So we also need a share in that. However, if a mutual agreement cannot be reached, then there is a dispute between the management and the trade union. And the trade union then can resort to industrial action. Industrial action means action which is designed to pressure the management to accept the demands. Okay, so what are these things? What are these industrial actions that can be undertaken? Remember, strike. The word strike means stopping the work. Okay, but strike is not the first option that the union will use. Okay, it will start from less extreme actions. Okay, so if it wants to put pressure, what will it do? Less extreme action. The first less extreme action that it will go resort to is overtime ban. They will say we are not going to go to overtime. Okay, because overtime is, you can't force someone to do overtime work, and often you need the cooperation of the workers to do overtime because you want to fulfill your orders on time. Now, if they say we are not going to do overtime, then that is going to have an impact on the output of the company, and there will be pressure on the company to increase the wages. If they don't, if the employer does not agree, even then you go to the second step, which is go slow policy. Do things slowly. What happens when you do things slowly? That increases the cost of the employer because it reduces the productivity of the worker, and he may not be able to meet his orders on time, so go slow. Okay, the question often is asked, why doesn't the employer fire these people? Well, he can, but they try not to fire people because they can always go to a tribunal. The fired worker can always go to the tribunal and file for wrongful dismissal, and there that will create a lot of bad publicity for the company, and that is not what the company wants. So if go slow also doesn't work, then non-cooperation. Non-cooperative will be, we we will not do things according to any new instruction given by the organization, by the employer. If that doesn't work, then work to rule. What does work to rule means? It doesn't mean you try to rule the worker, your employer. It simply means that you look at the rule book and you say that these are the things that I'm required to do according to the rules, and beyond these I will not work. Okay. uh, so this also has the same impact. It reduces the productivity, it increases the costs, and it puts pressure on the on the management to listen to the demands of these workers. If even this does not work, then the last option is the strike. The strike means stop work, protest in the workplace, and leave the workplace. Stop the work. Now, strike is a painful option both for the worker and for the management. The management will suffer high costs and low production. The workers will lose out on the pay. Okay, they are being paid on a daily basis. So every day they don't work, there's going to be, uh, there's going to be no money in their pockets. So strike is a painful option. And in a strike, victory goes to the party that can hold out the longest. If the ability to bear pain is more with the worker, they will probably succeed in getting the demands. And if the management can hold out longer, then they will win. So even the workers try not to go to an all-out strike in the beginning. First, they do a token strike for a few hours. They stop. Then they do a selective strike. A few workers stop working. Okay, the idea is to cause disruption, but that should send a signal to the management that they should stop. But when that doesn't work, then there is an all out strike in the factory, and work completely comes to a screeching halt. So these are some of the things that will happen. Of course, as I said, these are extreme measures. Okay, we also have to look at the structure of the trade union. Okay, trade unions usually have headquarters, they have branch offices, they have people on the working sites, they have representatives, there are elections, there are some really vigorous election campaigns in run in trade unions. So trade unions are and they can have a lot of membership. Okay, TUC in the UK, for example, Trade Unions Congress, has a huge number of workers. They can really put a lot of pressure. Okay, then there's something called a single union agreement. There was a time when there used to be a lot of unions within the same company. So companies say, look, listen to us, we cannot uh, have separate agreements with separate unions. So what will we do? We will have a single union agreement. We will recognize one union, and you can, whenever you have a problem, that one union representative can come and we can have an agreement with that union. That will save our time, because please remember now, if you fire, according to the law, if you sack someone for being part of a union, that is wrongful dismissal. So you cannot stop anyone from joining a union. I'm not talking about the private sector of Pakistan. Here, if you join a union, you can get sacked any minute, and the law will not support you. The law will support the person sacking you, because the human resource department here is responsible for getting around the law. But that does not happen in the other countries. In Europe, especially, you need to, if you want to join a union, please do. But to save time, the employers say that we are going to have agreement with one union only. Then there's a closed shop agreement. In a closed shop agreement, the employees must join one union in order to be employed. Okay. Uh, um, that there are various reasons for that. It is because the members feel that the union is doing nothing when non-members receive the same pay rises. Okay, so that way the trade unions also benefit. The strength of the trade unions also go up. Okay, but closed shop agreements have also been criticized because it gives the impression that you are forcing people to join a union. Okay, so that is also a downside of that. Okay, I will quickly go through the various types of unions that are there. You need to know some types of unions. There are four main types of unions. One is the craft union. Craft union is for workers who know a craft, who know a skill. For example, you can have unions of workers um, who have the skill of making pottery, for example, skill of uh, doing plumbing, for example. This is craft. Okay. Then there's general union. Unskilled, semi-skilled workers. It's called general because it's not specific to any industry. Okay. Um, for example, you have carpenters. Now, carpenters working in education sector, carpenter working in the automobile sector, carpenter working wherever. Okay, so I'm not sure whether in automobile they have carpenters, but from wherever, they can all come together from different industries into a general union. Then there's an industrial union, which is specific to an industry, an automobile worker, a union of automobile workers, and then there are white collar unions. White collar unions are unions for specifically for you can call them office workers or people who